Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Inside Scoop podcast. I'm your host, Julian Lockhart, and with me today is a very good dear friend of mine who also happens to be the starting center for the University of St. Thomas, Mr. Langston Robinson. Man, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah. I was looking forward to this conversation for a bit. I know I feel like I always say that, but truthfully, I was looking forward to talking to you and catching up with you, man. It's been a hot minute. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for starters, we're just gonna get right into St. Thomas football. Why did you attend? Oh my goodness! Why did you choose to attend the University of St. Thomas? And talk to me a little bit about the recruiting process as well in high school.
Yeah. Recruiting in high school for me probably began around like sophomore year. Just like going to camps, just getting film out there. Twitter is a big part of that. But yeah, I was talking to a good number of schools, pretty much like high D2s and up, so like D2 all the way through FBS. And then once COVID hit, like a lot of that pretty much just like shut down, and a lot of guys were getting like those extra years, so that's why you're seeing like a lot of like fifth year, sixth year,
Oh
seventh
yeah.
year guys, probably even more. Yeah, so like a lot of that stuff kind of like went down on my recruiting a little bit, and so honestly, I didn't know St. Thomas was a school in general, and
Oh
so
wow.
I just happened to get a follow from the recruiting coordinator one day, and then
hmm
hopped on a FaceTime call, a couple text messages, a Zoom call here and there, and the rest was history. It just felt like a good fit. So
Wow. I didn't know that you didn't know St. Thomas existed. I feel like a lot of people in the Midwest, because you're from Wisconsin, that I would have assumed a lot of people, at least from Minnesota and Wisconsin, would have heard of St. Thomas. I would understand if you're maybe from the South or like the East Coast or West Coast, but surprising you've never heard of St. Thomas.
yeah, no, I've definitely had like some kids come from my high school and from my area in general over there, but I had no idea again
hmm
about the school. Like I had no exposure to it. But ever since I've been here, just like going back home and like wearing St. Thomas gear like
Yeah,
around certain areas or places back
yeah,
in Milwaukee, like I get like a little head nod and say like, hey, like my kid goes there, or like my nephew or my grandson
yeah,
went there or something like that. So just like keep up the good work. But
yeah.
yeah, it's a good name to carry around. So
Oh, it definitely is. I can just now remembering. I think my freshman year of college, I went to a restaurant. I think it was like in Prescott, Wisconsin, so a little bit outside of the cities. But I was wearing a St. Thomas shirt, and this guy ended up paying for me and my buddies our dinner. And we were it was a pretty expensive restaurant, so we spent like probably over $100 between the four of us. And he paid for it. And he's like, "Yeah, like you're a Tommy. I got to support you." So the alumni network is crazy, and yeah, I
uh,
think it's a school that holds a good reputation around.
so like with you like being an alumni, like you would pay for my dinner or no? Or I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just
Maybe
joking.
if I make the big bucks someday, I'll say this: if I'm making six figures, which I'm not making close to six figures right now, but if I do, yeah, I'll take you out to dinner. Or if I
Got
see
you.
you
Got you.
out and around with your boys or your girlfriend, yeah, I'll buy you guys some stuff. I got you.
Got you. Got you. Got you.
Yeah, he's got to be making sure you wear the St. Thomas shirt though. You got to represent.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Um, well, when you were recruited to St. Thomas, then when you started out your freshman year there, you were a part of the inaugural Division One recruiting class, as well as just a part of the team in general. The first year St. Thomas went Division One. What does all of that mean to you?
Um, I'd say it means a good amount. Um, Coach Caruso, he's really big on like legacy and kind of filling in the shoes that came before you, and so we'll talk like a lot in like the team meetings about like all the characteristics and traits that the guys before us had, and how we are all
hmm
pretty similar, and we're all just like carrying on each other's legacy. And so, um, yeah, I think the transition from D3 to D1 was obviously big, but our goal still stays the same. The standard's still the same. It's just different people in different bodies fulfilling it. So it's been
hmm
fun.
Yeah, yeah. The standards are obviously high. I've mentioned this before. St. Thomas has been great at football, and especially in the Crusoe era. And regardless if it's Division Three or Division One, it feels to me that the expectations were always to win and to do well. And so far you guys have done a really good job about that, the winning part of it at least in the new Division One era.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about now the expectations that you have, maybe as a player, but also that your team has for this upcoming season, whether that may be a conference championship or maybe 10 plus wins. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the season. I feel like last year we just left a lot of things on the table, a lot of things that were just up in the air.
Hmm.
Whether that could have just been, us getting in our own head, maybe people just like not being bought in all the way. But I think just like over the off season, we've really gotten close together just as a group, like something I've never seen before. And obviously, me and all the other guys having to step up into the senior leadership role, and so just getting used to that, making sure that we have everybody on the same page and just moving as one, and just realizing that we're all going towards the same goal. And then once all that stuff falls into place, conference championships will fall into place, wins will fall into place, but we just got to make sure that we all want the same thing first.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a team effort. You guys got to all be on the same page. I think what's so cool about football, it's one of those sports, you could have one, two, or even, three really good players. But, if you're not making it a team effort, then, things can easily fall apart. And, that's where losses can come or, bad things can happen. And, yeah, that's what makes St. Thomas, a great football team. It seems to me that, you guys are all about, there's no I in team. Is that the right phrase, right? It seems like it's definitely a team effort. It's not about the eyes. That seems a little cringy, I know. Maybe
No. I got you. I got you.
yeah. Um, well, yeah, that's really cool. Well, now I'm curious. So you have been. This is going to be your third year starting for St. Thomas. Is this your last year of eligibility, or do you have one more after this year?
No, this is my last year. I did
Okay.
not redshirt my freshman year, so
Okay, I wasn't
last
sure
year.
about that. And I wasn't sure if there's like injuries or anything like that. But okay, so you're going to be like a true senior.
Yeah.
Well, you've had 2 prior years of starting experience, plus I know you played a little bit your freshman year as well. If you could think back to your welcome to college moment, when was the moment that you realized, like, wow, like this is not high school football anymore, like this is Division One college football?
Honestly, probably the first game that we played against UNI, which was my freshman year, and it's all coming full circle now that we're playing them for the second time my senior year. But yeah, UNI is a great team. The Missouri Valley is a great conference, probably the best conference you're going to see in FCS, and so um, just like playing in that type of environment, obviously playing in a dome setting, so like the volume is just like bouncing like off all the walls. The fans are
Oh yeah,
crazy. People are saying crazy things to you, and you're just like a little college freshman, just like all bright eyed and bushy tailed, and you're like, well, like what's going on? But
yeah,
when you got like good seniors to lead you and great coaches, even though you may not get the outcome that you want, you're still going to leave there with something. And
yeah,
I think we all left with a great experience, but a bad taste in our mouth. And I think we're
yeah,
just excited to show what we can do. So,
yeah. Yeah, it definitely is a much needed experience, especially, I think it was important for you in a way, just because now you're going to, use that experience when you play them again in a couple weeks, now on your home field, or, other teams later on, this season. I don't know if you're playing any indoor games, but I know you guys have one non-conference away game at Lindenwood. I don't really know much about their program. But what I do know is I know they play Kansas this
yeah.
season. Obviously, one of the best, top 25 team in the FBS. So I'd imagine, that's going to be a challenging game as well, having to play a team that has experience playing a top 25 team in the country.
Yeah, I think that would definitely benefit them for sure. I don't know too much about Lindenwood myself either, but I'm sure they got a great staff. I think they just jumped up from D2, so they're obviously doing great things to be able to jump
Oh, yeah.
levels just like us. And so that should be an exciting game. Again, just trying to see how we match up against other teams as we continue navigating this D1 journey. But should be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're excited to get the season started. I know you've been kind of in that fall camp mode for the month of August. Now, I'm curious, what does fall camp look like at St. Thomas? Like, It could be just an average, Tuesday, or talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we usually come in the first weekend of August. So whatever day that happens to be, it's obviously a Saturday, but um, yeah, let's come in that first weekend of August. We'll move everybody in. We all stay in Tommie North dorm. So
Mm-hmm.
again, it's all to form that brotherhood and all that camaraderie, and it's honestly some of the best times. It gives you, some
Oh yeah.
flashbacks like freshman year, just hanging out with your buddies, just fooling around, goofing around, staying up. Not too late, obviously, but
Oh yeah. Never too
um,
late.
but yeah, the dorms are a lot of fun, and I obviously have a great time with the guys, and it's just fun, just kind of not worrying about everything else that's outside. Kind of just worried about what you're working towards with your best friends. So
Mm-hmm.
I had a great time doing it. But in terms of just like schedule, it's pretty packed. Honestly, you're probably busy every day from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes later than that, depending on how late meetings go or how late our bedtime snack is, or if we're up
Mm-hmm.
playing games before bed. So usually for me, I probably wake up around like 7:30 a.m. Get to breakfast and stuff. Then we got um, team meeting at 8:30, and then after that, you probably might have a lift or some more meetings and film. Then you have different enhancement sessions, so that could be media training for stuff like this,
Mm-hmm.
other types of training that we have to sit through for the betterment of the team, and then we'll go to lunch, have treatment, more meetings, practice, then shower up, get rested, get more treatment. Then you have dinner, more meetings, more film. And after that, you're finally free. But then we also have to come back together at night for our nighttime snack, which is just PB&Js and protein. But it's all to bond that all together. And then we all end up, just doing stuff in the dorm. So whether that's playing ping pong, playing Xbox, PlayStation. Obviously, College Football 25 just came out, so we're playing
Oh.
that a ton.
Oh hell
Also
yeah.
play that in the locker room too, so that's tons of fun. But yeah, camp is definitely can be both very physically and mentally taxing. But when you're able to kind of like slow things down and really like put yourself in the moment, you realize like how much time you're spending with your brothers, and eventually like I'm not gonna be able to get this time back. Like this is my last time doing this, and I feel like
Yeah.
I just got here yesterday. So
Oh yeah.
just trying to enjoy it. You might not know what day it is. You might be tired of going to practice and having to get up, and your body probably feels terrible. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the last time you're gonna do it. So I've just been
Oh yeah.
having fun with it and enjoying it, teaching all the freshmen. So it's been
Oh yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Time flies, man. I mean, I remember back when we were both in Tommy North, and I remember you were just a freshman when I knew you, and now you're going to be the big senior on campus, and I bet you that time went by just like that.
Yeah,
Like
really
man,
fast.
yeah, it goes by really fast, and this year's going to go by even faster. If
Oh
I had
yeah,
to
I bet.
give if I had to give one piece of advice to just any college student, especially heading into their senior year, knowing that this is going to be their last, I would say take advantage of all of it, bring it all in. If there's something you don't, you're maybe thinking about doing or you might not do, just do it. Like, you're gonna regret if you don't do, a lot of the things, you may have wanted to do. You're gonna regret if you don't do it, later on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you miss living in the dorms a little bit? I know it's a little bit different now than the
hmm
kind of like the apartment you're staying at. But do you miss being around just a ton of people, kind of having the small dorm little lifestyle that you only get a little bit of it for a few weeks? But do you miss any of that?
No, yeah, there's definitely some bits and pieces I take from that I definitely miss. Obviously, one is just having like everybody's close by. Like being on the team, like you have like 100 brothers right out the gate before you even start a class. So
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
having all those guys nearby, knowing you can just like walk across the hall or take an elevator to whatever floor you want to go to, and then just chop it up with your guys, like that's something you can't really get back. But I definitely don't miss having a twin bed. Like I
Oh
love
yeah.
having a queen bed that's comfortable and not having to get like a mattress topper or anything like that. Um, love having a good bathroom. Um,
Oh
love
yeah.
having my own TV and stuff like that. So obviously there's give and take with everything, but the one thing I would definitely miss about the dorms is just that the people, I guess you could say. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I even right now, like I'm noticing, a lot of people at various colleges are, moving into the dorms, whether they're an incoming freshman or, just another, sophomore or junior, it makes me kind of think back to the, couple of years I spent in the dorms. And, there's a lot that I miss with it. Like, I was fortunate that, like, I had my own dorm for the 2 years I lived on campus. So, like, I didn't really have to deal with, like, sharing, like, in my own space. However, like, I definitely don't miss, like, having to share a bathroom or, like,
Yeah.
deal with, like, not having, like, full privacy. And, once you kind of get used to, like, having your own privacy, having your own space, I would say it's tough to then go back to it. I don't know if that's how you're kind of feeling about it, but just because, you don't spend much time in the dorms. But, now having to go back to it one more time, I don't know, maybe a little bit for you to adjust, I would guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, going back to the dorms every year for camp, it's been fine. Like, it hasn't been like, oh, like the world's ending. At the end of the day, like, we're not at the dorms that much during camp because you're literally
Right.
just doing everything else. So you're pretty much just there to sleep. But,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um, we do fun stuff every now and then. Like, we might have like a little water fight. Don't tell administration that, but, stuff like that might go
Well,
down.
you just kind of ratted yourself out because what if
Oh, I
admin
did.
watches this? Oh, I know.
Uh, yeah, we might have to edit that part out. But, yeah, just like different stuff again. Like, we'll play like board games, play video games. So, um, yeah, it's all good fun.
Yeah. No, no, you got to have fun, and that's what college is all about. Um, and just to, reassure you, I don't think administration's going to be watching this. At least I hope not. I hope they don't be stalking my show. I had enough of them when I was in
No,
school. Yeah, I don't want them watching my
no, I
stuff.
think no, I think a water fight is like the least terrible
Oh,
thing you'd have on a college campus. I think
oh,
it'll be okay.
I'd hope not. Yeah, no, I'd hope not. Plus, you know what? Innocent until proven guilty. And you know what?
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no proof.
if they
No
can't
proof.
prove that water fight really went down, then, well, you're innocent, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What water fight?
Yeah, right?
I don't know.
Um, well, now, you talked a little bit earlier about, the fall camp and what that schedule looks like. Now heading into, the season just in a few days, what does a game day look like for you? And maybe talk a little bit about, like, what a home game looks for you versus what an away game day looks for you.
Yeah. So home games are usually at either 12 or 1, and so we'll always gather together 4 hours before for a team meal. So if
Okay.
it's an afternoon game, it's breakfast, and then if it's a night game like the one we have this week, it's going to be lunch. So yeah, we'll get together 4 hours before. We'll just all get together, say a prayer before, have the team meal, and then just kind of disperse for a little bit, just kind of get our minds right, just relax, just kind of take it mellow. Coach Caruso is always telling us, you don't want to be too hype. You kind of just want to ride the wave, and then when it's the right time, right before kickoff, bring yourself up. But you don't want to be
Hmm.
tense the entire day because it's going to wear you down.
Right.
But yeah. So a couple hours before kickoff, we'll have meetings again, just kind of like finalize everything, make sure everybody's on the same page, and then after that, it's just time to get ready, throw some headphones in, get taped up, and ready to play. So, but as far as an away game, they try to keep it pretty similar. Um, Football is like a huge routine sport. I would say like
Hmm.
routine and rituals are big for a lot of the guys. And so whether it's like I don't know, like a special thing that they like write on their cleats or their tape, or having a
Hmm.
special game day playlist, like they try to keep everything pretty sound. So it gets down to when we're taking our naps if we're on the road and we're like changing time zones. We try to have the same pregame meal every time. We're trying to make sure we're watching our team movies the night before around the same
Hmm.
time. So all this stuff is just to keep kind of our rhythm kind of in place and making sure that we're not out of sync, and we just try to keep that as uniform as possible. And they do a great job doing that. Whether it's like the coaching staff or whoever's in charge of creating our itinerary, they do a great job of keeping us in the same routine. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, I think it's just good to stay consistent with your routine, so it doesn't throw you off. But I'm curious. I'd imagine that takes a toll on yourself. I mean, obviously football is a big physical game, but
mhm.
even mentally. And I'm curious. I know, like, one thing I love learning more about is, like, sports and mental health, and also maybe talking a little bit about pressure you may face because for me, I'm not a big competitive person, with stuff.
Yeah.
But I know, there has to be some level of competition, going through your head because, you want to win. And,
Yeah.
everyone rooting for you wants you to win too, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure built up, right? If there's, if you're trying to win for your teammates, your parents, your friends, the coaches, the fans, for yourself, so how do you, deal with the pressure and maybe, the mental toll that it takes on you, but also trying to, be successful, in your craft?
Yeah. Football is definitely a very it depends, but it can be a very mentally taxing sport. You're trying to process a lot of things at a high level in a very short amount of time. And so I think especially like at my position or like a quarterback position or, like a safety or linebacker position,
Hmm.
you're like making like a lot of the calls. And so you got to be able to just trust your coaching and your thinking and be able to kind of think on the fly sometimes. But um, I think when you talk about like mental health, you have to be able to be in a good space to be able to play well. And so I think you also have to be honest with yourself when you're not in a
Yeah.
great space. And so just being able to reach out, we also have great resources for that. Um, Number one, just being coaches themselves. They're like, if you don't know who to go to, you can always come to them first, and they're always available. Whether you want to shoot them a text or call or just go to their office, like they're always willing to help.
Hmm.
And fortunately, I've never had like anything too crazy happen during college where I felt like my mental health was just like bogging me down. I mean, I've
Hmm.
definitely been stressed out about school or just like life in general, but
Hmm.
um, I think just being able to kind of recognize, what you're dealing with and kind of just understand, like, is this something that I can take care of? Is it something that I can change right now? And if it's not, you kind of just have to move on and let it run its course. But yeah, I think mental health is definitely a huge thing. I think the biggest thing I've probably been through as a player is probably just dealing with injury. I've had ankle sprains during college, and so obviously that can kind of mess with your head sometimes because you don't
Hmm.
feel like you're able to play like as hard or as fast, or maybe your coach thinks you're kind of, you know, playing softy a little bit. Maybe
Hmm.
not saying that this has ever happened to me, but just saying
Right,
like
right.
this stuff that could just be like going through your head.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but I could definitely see how that stuff could take a toll on you. But at the end of the day, you have to just realize that you're bigger than this game, and like this game is like such a short part of your life. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna spend 4 to 5 years playing your college sport, and the span of like hopefully a 70+ year life. And so when
Yeah.
you think about like how small that time frame is, it kind of really puts it into perspective. Like I can't put my whole identity into this, and I have to think about something that's bigger than me at the end of the day. So
Yeah. I think that's a good way to look at it. My cousin, he doesn't play football, the one I'm talking about, but my cousin, he was a really good soccer player in in high school, like one of the best in Minnesota.
mhm.
And I think once you want to make the transition from high school to college, I feel like in a lot of ways, like college sport can take over, the majority of your time, and
Yeah,
at your life stage at this point. And I felt like it was kind of like that in a way for him, even in high school. There would be the high school season, and then there was winter camps, and then there was plenty of club soccer teams. He'd be playing for throughout the year. It was really a year-round thing for him. And it was interesting. He was like he had offers from like Notre Dame and Stanford. He's a really smart kid too. So like Stanford, some really good high end, Division I men's college soccer programs. And I think he was kind of like, well, I don't really want this to become my life right now. And as good as he is, he chose to actually go play D3. He's actually just a freshman right now, so he'll be playing there really shortly here. He's going out east to go play Division III, and not to say that doesn't take time. Obviously it does. It's still college, but I don't think it takes up as much time in your life. From D3 to D1,
mhm.
and I think I respect that he doesn't want soccer to become his whole life. And even though he's really good, where like he could go play professionally, I bet you somewhere, and actually can make money from it. but I think it's interesting that, it's not necessarily for everyone to, where it's like truly their entire life.
Yeah.
Even though, like, as an outsider, I feel like sometimes it is like people's lives, just because, like, I'm hearing about fall camp, and then, you're
Yeah.
doing everything from team dinners to practice to film, conditioning. It's kind of seems like it's almost like that on repeat. And, I've noticed that even like in high school sports too. I don't know how much you follow like high school sports right now, but as a play-by-play broadcaster for a lot of times, mainly for hockey, I do some basketball too. But especially in Minnesota, so many people take hockey seriously here, and like I've learned that, people are playing that year round, even though like it's kind of considered a winter sport. But all the rinks they stay open during the summer, and there's plenty of summer leagues, and it seems like if you want to really get good nowadays, like you got to be playing that like year round. You really don't have much of a true off season.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought up, about just like how much time you actually put in, because I didn't really think about that. It's kind of just like the norm for me and a lot of other athletes. But yeah, I think when you think about like all the time you put in, like even during the school year, whether it's in like practice and games and film and meetings and workouts and all that other stuff, like it adds up, and it could be really easy to like place your identity in something that you put most of your time into. Like it's just natural. Like if I spend a lot of time doing something, I'm gonna become that thing. And so, yeah, I think that's a very good point that you brought up. But shout out to your cousin though for not letting it like consume him. He sounds like he's really, in tune with himself and his own person.
Oh yeah. Well, he's a really smart kid. Like I think he was the valedictorian of his high school this past year. I think he was, at least. He was either one or two. I know his girlfriend was like one or the other, but I want to say I think he was a valedictorian. So yeah, really smart kid, and I think like he really values his school, and like I know someday I think he does like have vision of going into a professional career. I don't really remember what, but something that's not soccer. Which for me, if you had the opportunity to go play a professional sport, and really anything, I feel like a lot of people would want to, take advantage of that opportunity. But, it's not for everyone. And maybe someday he'll change his mind. I think he's still kind of early enough where he's just 18, where he can maybe go, and either transfer to Division I or whatnot. But yeah, thanks for the shout out for my cousin, man. I think if he watches this, I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
Yeah, tell him to shoot me a follow. I'll follow him back.
Yeah, well, yeah, go follow Langston Robinson. Find him on Instagram or Twitter, whatever else you may use. I don't even know if this this might sound really bad. I don't know if I follow him.
You don't follow him, bro?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he's a big social media guy. I mean, he's
oh, so he's really like nonchalant, like out the way for real. Like
I don't really think so. I mean, if you got a 4-point, if you're valedictorian. And, one of the state's best soccer players, I mean, you probably don't have a ton of time for social media, right?
You might be right.
Maybe a little bit on the side. I mean, I'm surprised you do too. One thing I want to bring up is, not to toot your horn a little bit, but I saw you made the All-PFL preseason list here for the 2024 season. And I know, we talked a little bit about how you're fortunate enough not to have a ton of pressure, and you maybe might not look at it like that way, but how are you going to make sure that you're kind of starting the season with high expectations? How do you want to finish the season and make sure that those people are right about those high expectations about you?
I think that's a good question. I would say that I'm not necessarily worried about the outcome of the entire season right now. Just kind of worried taking it, day by day, week by week, and then eventually it'll all add up. I had a coach in high school who would say, the only way to eat a cow is one steak at a time. And so I think that's just how you got to go about it. Like as corny as that sounds, like if you ever just like break something down and just focus on one thing at a time, and then just keep winning the day piece by piece, like you'll be fine. So yeah. I think right now we just have to win the day by winning our drills, winning in practice. Then that'll translate to winning reps in games, and then winning the whole games, and then we can talk about winning conference, and then see where it goes from there. But just worried about being in the moment for right now.
Yeah, and that's what Landon was talking a little bit to me about. In our conversation we had, earlier, and I think he's right. I think it's healthy and good to take it step by step. You don't want to get too ahead of yourselves. And it seems like to me, if you have high expectations, you know, it's hard to go up from there, right? Like it's either you're going to meet those expectations or it's easy to go down from them, if you're
Yeah.
not putting in the time, if you're not putting in the hard work. I mentioned this earlier in my last conversation with Landon. I knew a kid at St. Thomas who played baseball there. He doesn't play there anymore, but he was awarded, I don't even know what the official award was, but like the freshman of the year to watch. Like basically, like he was projected to be like the best freshman in the conference for all of the Summit League for baseball. And I remember talking to him about it. I was like, "Oh yeah, congratulations, man! Like I didn't realize you were that good." And he's like, "Well, thank you," but he's like, it's hard because basically now I can only really go down, from here. And that's just how he saw it. Not everyone might look at it that way.
Yeah.
But in some ways, he's right. And I think it's important that it's like if you become aware that there are these expectations, and the bar set up here. You want to meet those expectations, and you still got to continue the hard work because there's plenty of athletes where they might be preseason this or preseason that, but then they don't finish the season. At that all conference level or that all American level.
Yeah.
So you play college football 25, maybe not too much recently, just because you've been busy with fall camp.
Okay, this is the crazy thing. I literally can't even play it because for some reason my I think it's like my PlayStation account is like linked to some EA account that I don't know of. Like it showed me like what email was linked to it, and I literally don't know. So I've been having some crazy stuff happen to me lately. I got banned from Warzone like probably like a couple months ago. I couldn't play for a couple weeks. I was so sick, so down bad.
That's
So
too
yeah,
bad.
I literally haven't played a single snap of College Football 25. I have the game, like it's on my PS5, but
Have you played on your buddies or your teammates?
no, I've just been looking. It gets pretty competitive, so I can't really
Oh yeah.
step in right now because I haven't had the practice. Like I just can't throw myself in there quite yet.
Okay.
So
Damn, that actually made me sad. That's
I know
really
I'm
too
pretty sad.
bad.
I gotta figure it out. Whether it's like shooting them an email, calling them. I gotta call EA or PlayStation to get this figured out.
You definitely do. Yeah, when you get some time, you got to do that. It's a great game. I was playing a little bit earlier. It can be frustrating at some points, but I think that's what makes it realistic. I really like the dynasty mode. I have three
What team did you?
dynasties.
I was gonna say like, what's your team?
I have three. The first one I've been doing the Minnesota Gophers. I've been struggling a little bit with them. I actually had a 20-point comeback against Rutgers at Rutgers this afternoon. I was playing. Well, I should have been working, but I had to step away from work for a little bit and play a game. And I was getting my butt whooped, and I made a comeback in the second half, and I ended up winning. But yes, I've been the Gophers. I actually was able. There's like a team builder you can do, and someone created St. Thomas.
Yeah, I
So they
saw
got
that. Yeah.
so they got like the logo and everything. I think they referred to as the Tomcats though for like copyright. Which I mean, Tomcats. I mean, that is the mascot is a Tomcat, so it's
Yeah, I
not
guess, yeah.
it's not really wrong. But yeah, and I think it's funny they have. I don't know why they did this, but like I think the stadiums they're actually located in Alabama, so they didn't do St.
Really?
Paul, Minnesota, which is a little weird to me.
That's pretty weird.
But yeah, so I've been playing that, which has been pretty fun. Actually, I improved a lot from. I'm on year 2 now for that, and that's been really fun. My main dynasty, me and my buddies, we did like a connected dynasty, and we're like the Mountain West. We did the old Mountain West, so I'm BYU, who's in the Big
Okay.
12 in real life
Yeah.
now, but formerly a part of the Mountain West, and that's been the one that I think I take most seriously. I sometimes even will kind of get like the sweats, or just kind of get like those pregame feels before I play the game seriously, because I take that really serious. I take that
No, yeah, I
dynasty
completely
really seriously.
understand.
And I like to win. I've lost once. We're on year 2 for this as well. I've lost once this year. I think I'm like 8 or 9-1. But I've had an issue
Okay.
with my quarterbacks. I have like three quarterbacks who are all the same overall, and there's been one guy who I kind of went with, and then he really started to suck. But now I've got this other guy where, I mean, again, like I think he's like a auto generated. I don't think he actually plays, and he's been doing decent for me. Um, so I've been okay, but I've got a there's in the recruiting process. There's like different like level stars. Like in real life, like 1 star, 2 star, 3 star athletes.
Yeah.
But there's also like gems or like there's either gems or there's this other one where it's like they might be listed as a 3 star, but then if they're a 3 star gem, they're actually kind of like a 4 star, and then
Okay.
vice versa. If they have the little X around them, it's like if they're a 3 star, then they're actually kind of like a 2 star, like they're kind of overrated.
Yeah.
And I have a 4 star gem coming to who committed to BYU, so I'll be basically getting like a 5 star quarterback in. So I'm hoping he'll be the new face of my franchise. Whatever his auto-generated name is, I really don't know. But but yeah, I'm excited. If you definitely maybe more during the off season when you have time after once you guys get done with the season, start a dynasty if you can get that figured out with EA.
Yeah, I
It's
gotta
fun.
get it figured out. It's been depressing, man. But once I get it figured out, I'll let you up and we can play again.
Yeah, well, to run it back. Yeah, it's hard. Like I feel like it's really easy to throw interceptions in that game.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like it can be difficult, but then at the same time, like if you like momentum is like really noticeable in the game, and it's like if you really start running, like if you really have momentum on your side, like it seems like there's almost nothing your opponent can do to stop you. And then
Hmm.
at the same time, there's like nothing your opponent can do to like score. Like if you're up like 28-0, it seems like they can't stop you, and then like they're not going to score anything on you, which is interesting because
Gotcha.
Madden is not like that. I feel.
Hmm. Would you say you prefer this over Madden?
Yeah, 100%. I haven't really been a huge fan of Madden recently.
Okay.
Yeah, the gameplay, I mean, it's a video game. It's not going to be perfect. There's definitely, like, I think the tackling is frustrating. Like, it's hard to play defense, like, and be good at it.
Hmm.
Like in Madden, I feel like, if I was having a good game, like, I could easily shut someone out. In this, like, I feel like I could be playing a really low overall team and I'll still let them score some points on me. I was playing a really bad team earlier. I don't know if anyone's Air Force fans watching this, but Air Force is a pretty bad team in the game.
I actually do have an old high school teammate at Air Force. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, and no disrespect to the people in the Air Force. Thank you for your sacrifice. Much respect and love for you, but in the game at least, I'm not going to say it resembles real life, but in the game, they're not very great. But they put up 3 touchdowns. Their quarterback was dotting me up earlier this afternoon, and it wasn't until the fourth quarter. I got a pick six, and I ran one in at the last second. I won by a couple touchdowns, but it was a really close, tough game, and it kind of felt like they had momentum in the first half, and there was like nothing I could do defensively. Like I'd be blitzing them, they'd pick it up and throw a dot. I'd be running man coverage. I'd be running zone. There's absolutely nothing I could do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely like one of the things I've heard just from like my friends playing is that it definitely seems a lot more as realistic as you can get for like a video game. Like whether it's like factoring in like injuries or like
Oh yeah.
momentum or like the stadium pulse, the pressure that you get from the
Oh,
crowd. So
the stadium. Yeah, the stadium makes a big difference. I was. This would be so fun. I would love to see this in real life, but I was playing. I played a lot of college football this afternoon. It was bad. Like again, should have been working, but I was grinding that game out. And I was playing my St. Thomas Dynasty, and I had them at LSU, which would be really
wow.
incredible if you guys ever played LSU. But it was down in Louisiana, and I think they had like that kind of tells you it's like the third hardest stadium atmosphere to play in.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do anything. Like I think I scored a touchdown the first drive, and then I think they ended up beating me 28 to like 10, just because that's such a tough. I threw 3 picks,
Yeah.
so saw a little bit of a user error. So sorry for
Yeah,
St. Thomas
those
fans.
SEC stadiums, man, they're no joke for sure.
Have you ever been to an SEC game like as a fan?
I have not. I've literally only been to one college football game, and that was, I think it was like Northwestern versus Penn State, and it was at Northwestern. So
Okay.
this is actually when Saquon was still playing, so I got to see Saquon play in
I
college,
got to see
which is pretty
Saquon
cool.
Park. Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been to plenty of St. Thomas games. I have not been to a Minnesota Gopher game. If that sounds, which is really crazy to me to call myself a Gopher fan, and then let alone have a show about college football and say I've never been to a Gopher game. I don't know. It's been a little weird. I've always wanted to make it out to them, but while I was in, I haven't really. I've kind of found a new love for college football. I wasn't really into it when I was in high school, and then I kind of just got into it when I was in college, and then there was COVID. But then, a lot of the times it's like, well, I was going to go to if I'm going to go to a college football game on Saturday, I'm going to go to a Tommie game over the Gophers just because I was a student there.
Well, I'm really interested to see the Gophers and Tommy's hockey rematch because I remember
Oh, yeah.
when they had it the first time over at the Excel Center. Like we were on a road trip somewhere. I don't know what game it was, but me and my hotel roommate Shay Albrecht,
Hmm.
we have great times. Our hotel room super fun. But we were watching the game and we were like screaming like so loud because it was like such a close game that we got
Oh,
like a
yeah.
noise complaint. And so so the guy like he like comes up to our room. He's like is like everything okay in here? We're like yeah, like just watching the hockey game like it's really close. He was like okay, like just gotta keep it down. But yeah, I'm really excited for what they got going for the hockey team here. It's been pretty fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited as well. I was able to go to the game last year. Um, and, I think the Gophers, I think at that point were like number one or two in the country. And St. Thomas, they came off of a ranked win against St. Cloud State. I remember. I know you might not be a big hockey guy, but I remember they had a big win against St. Cloud State, who I think was top 10 or top 15. So I was
Hmm.
kind of like, oh, maybe they could beat the Gophers. And I remember like they went up, I think, by at least a goal or two late in the game.
Yeah.
But the Gophers, they weren't going to let them, take it easy, and went to overtime. And I remember they scored. I literally remember the play. The defense for St. Thomas kind of hesitated. I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication, and Jimmy Snuggerud is the guy who scored, and he just top shelved that bad boy, and nothing you can do to stop it if you're the goalie. But yeah, I definitely plan to make it this year. What kind of sucks is working in sports, especially like hockey. Is I work on a lot of game days. Like I feel like especially if I want to go to like a Timberwolves game or like a Minnesota Wild game, but they play a lot on like Tuesdays and Thursdays and
Hmm.
Saturdays, and those are the nights I work. Like when I broadcast, I'm working, a lot of those times, so it's difficult for me to make it out to professional sporting events, let alone really any. Like when
Hmm.
I hopefully make it to the St. Thomas UNI game here in a couple weeks, like that'll actually be a game that I get to enjoy like as a fan, and I'm not like working at, or like there's not something I gotta like watch out for work purposes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like you ever experienced that just being an athlete? Having to spend so
Um,
much time on your game that you don't get to enjoy other sports, whether it might be football or basketball or baseball, other sports, etc.
yeah, I think in season it's definitely a little more challenging to see sports that you want to see. So, just because, again, you got time taken up by your sport plus like school and whatever
Hmm.
extracurriculars you might have with like friends or family and whatnot. But out of season, I definitely try to make as much stuff as I can. So whether it's trying to like catch like a basketball game or a baseball game or something like that, just doing something like that with the guys, something
Hmm.
chill, like something to kind of take our mind off everything and just be around, help and support the university. So
Oh yeah,
anything like that is always fun.
oh yeah. Yeah, I love going to Tommy games. I can't wait until they build that new arena.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch because like
Yeah,
obviously like I'm an engineering major, so like it's being built like right across. Like I'll be in class or just like walking across sometimes, and you can like see through the window
yeah,
like what's going on, and it's making a lot of good progress. So I'm
yeah.
excited to see what they got coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be super nice. I mean, I know they're putting a ton of money into it, um, and I think it'll be kind of nice, to because if you guys have ever, for those who are listening who have been to the St. Thomas, gymnasium, for basketball, and in some ways it kind of feels like it's just like a big high school gym. I remember I was actually having to cover Wayzata basketball game. I don't. Have you ever heard of Wayzata?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's like they have like I think in terms of student population, it's the largest high school in Minnesota. And I swear that they had more seats available at their basketball court than St. Thomas did, which is just like crazy to me. And then, for hockey, St. Thomas literally plays at a high school arena. So I think that's
Yeah.
going to be great, for the school to finally kind of get that upgrade, for basketball and hockey. I think it might be a big step to fill all those seats every night. But I think they're taking a step in the right direction for sure, and I'm looking forward to going there. I'm kind of hoping if my career allows for it, I'll be able to be like a season ticket holder either for the basketball program or for the hockey program because a lot of great things to look forward to. I think both for Tommie basketball and Tommie hockey.
Yeah, yeah, I think the new arena for sure is definitely building a lot of excitement. And once it's built, you know, I don't think there's going to be too much of a challenge with having people wanting to show up. Obviously, like with hockey being off campus, it creates a barrier because people don't want to maybe get in their car or get on a bus or whatever to try to make it over to
Hmm.
that game. Or basketball is kind of like in like a smaller seating area, so it may be hard to get a good seat or something like that. But having a new space like this that's like specifically dedicated for both of those sports to like really amplify that experience, I think it's going to be really, really good. And so
Yeah,
I won't be here when it's done, but hopefully I can get to a game or two and soak in that Tommy experience. So,
yeah. Maybe you and I will set a little something up. Maybe we'll have to go together.
man, sounds like food and drinks is on you. So,
We'll see, man. You're gonna be an engineering major, so you'll be building stuff. You'll be getting paid probably more than I do.
okay, but
So
like, see, by that time, you'll be like, that'll be like my first year. And you
yeah,
see, you'll be like a few years removed, so you'll have some like bread already like stacked
a
up.
little bit, a little bit. Yeah, but I got bills to pay, man. I got rent and and fun stuff to pay for.
Everybody has that.
Yeah, you don't got rent though. I know you do have rent.
Yeah.
You do got rent. Yeah, but so I don't. Working in sports. Working in sports. Here's the one thing about sports, unfortunately, is it's one of those industries where everyone wants to work in it, and sports teams, sports programs, they know that, and they can kind of give you a little bit of a pay cut compared to other professions. I'm really not gonna. I really don't make that much.
All right. All right. I
So maybe we'll just have to split the bill. Maybe we'll
185.
split the bill,
I suppose.
or
I
something like
suppose.
I'll buy the tickets, and you take me out to dinner, and maybe get me a drink or something. Get me a beer.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how I'm
Okay.
feeling.
Well, we'll figure it out when we come to it. Anyway, well, I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, thanks a lot to you, Langston, for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you. And I just want to say good luck to you this season. For those listening, thank you for making it this far. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a good rest of your day or night, whenever you're listening to this during the day. But yeah, thanks, Langston, for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me. Thanks for reaching out. It was a good time to catch up and, just have a good conversation. So,
Oh, yeah. I'll have to do it again sometime.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it.